Thank you and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the regular City of Hoyt Lakes Council meeting Monday, February 8th, 2021, 6:30. Roll call, please.
Mayor Vreeland.
Here.
Councilor Zins.
Here.
Pop.
Here.
Peterson.
Here.
Kramer.
Here.
Roll calls taken. Consent agenda, please.
Item 3 is approval of City Council meeting minutes, regular meeting, January 25th. Item 7 is the filing of correspondence listed on your agenda. And item 10 is approval of claims, payroll, and receipts.
Is if everybody okay with the consent agenda tonight?
Mm-hmm.
If so, I would call for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as read.
Motion by Councilor Zins. Is there support?
I'll support.
Support by Councilor Peterson. Roll call, please.
Councilor Zins.
Yes.
Pop.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Kramer.
Yes.
Mayor Vreeland.
Yes, motion carries. Going down to item 4, guest citizen. Tom Nemenich said he was going to be on, but he is not on. Or you haven't seen him yet, have you?
Not yet, but Matt Reed is on.
Okay, Matt, do you want to talk to the council about this situation?
I certainly can. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Well, good evening, everybody. I'm actually en route to your city right now, so I'm driving as I'm talking, so I'm not going to get on video. But you should have in front of you in the council packet, you should have a letter from Tom Nemenich from Wasabi Bituminous, and I'll summarize what that letter says. We had a bid item on the 2020 street infrastructure improvements project that is going to wrap up here this spring. But one of the bid items was for concrete crushing. There was a pile of concrete out at the city yard, and part of the bid was to get that crushed. And it was to include whatever was in the pile originally and also whatever concrete came off the job. And the item was bid as a lump sum. The contractors were to go out, excuse me, and estimate the quantity and put in a bid. So they all did that. When it came down to it, Tom called me here back probably in November, right after they got done crushing it, and said it turns out that there was more concrete out there than what they had estimated, and was wondering if there'd be any consideration given to covering the cost of the additional concrete or the overage from what they had estimated in their bid. They had bid that item at $30,000 for the lump sum, and they included an invoice from Hewlin Brothers, their subcontractor, which you should also have in your packet. That
on the back side.
Okay, yep. It totaled around $45,000 roughly, including a mob. And Tom indicated in his letter that the mobilization was covered, but they're asking if they can get compensation for the additional $11,000 and change above what they had bid to cover the cost of the concrete crushing.
Go
ahead.
Matt, did you guys estimate how many yards or tons you thought were in there?
We did not. We discussed it at the beginning of the project. We had a discussion with staff and decided to just bid it as a lump sum, just due to the fact that for us to estimate a tonnage without having a scale out there or anything was going to be challenging. And the contractors do this more than we do, and they'd be able to have a better idea of what it is.
Okay. What's your recommendation?
So that's why we did it the way we did. Well, I'll tell you what the contract says. The contract says that it's a lump sum, so that's what they get regardless of the quantity. They made an estimation based on what they thought it was. Didn't quite turn out the way that they hoped it would. So per the contract, they would not be entitled to additional compensation. So it really is up to the council at the end of the day if you want to consider the additional compensation or not.
Question for you, Matt. Does Mesabi Bituminous, I thought they had their own crusher, their own concrete crusher.
I believe they do. I don't know how they bid this project, though. We weren't privy to that information. I don't know if they were going to bid it themselves or if they were going to hire a subcontractor, or even, quite frankly, if they did bid it to do it themselves and then decided to hire a sub. I guess I don't know that information.
Any of the council have any questions or comments?
I guess the comment I would have is if it came in less, would they be coming back to the city council and offering the city council a rebate?
Matt?
Have you ever run into that, Kenny? You're on mute.
Yeah, I got you, Dave. No, I've never seen somebody come in underbid and offer us money back. That's for certain.
Okay. Anybody else, any questions or comments?
Yeah, I guess the comment I would like to make is I think it's our job as councilors and the mayor to look out for the citizens of White Lakes, and we have to look out for our own welfare. So we don't really know for sure how the other contractors, I don't have access to the original bid. So maybe the other vendors bid this project, the crushing at $50,000 or $60,000, and the fact that Mesabi Bituminous got the bid because they lowballed a few things, and now they want to come back and collect more money because they screwed up on their bids. So I would most definitely recommend to offer no rebate on this whatsoever.
Anybody else? Matt, you go ahead,
sorry.
Chris.
Oh, I was just going to say I know it stinks that it came out way more than they anticipated, but I guess when I think about work that I have done, if I'm given an estimate and it goes above, I'm going to fight to keep it at that amount. And so I think we should not pay anything further than that.
Okay. I'm looking for Matt. Matt, are you still on?
Yes, I am.
Do you remember what the other contractors bid that part of it?
I remember, yeah, there was, I don't remember exactly, Mayor, but there was at least 4 other bidders. And I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, most of them, there might have been one that was closer, but most of them were quite a bit higher on that bid item than what Mesabi Bituminous bid.
Okay. I'm not sounding like I'm hearing a lot of support for this. Becky, do I need to call a motion for it or just let it die?
I believe it's just we take no action. It's not really on the agenda as an official agenda item. It
Okay.
was just, and being Tom, I did send him the Zoom link. It's too bad he couldn't be on to discuss it himself, but we would just take no action.
Okay. If everybody's okay with that, I think that's what we'll do. I know I've been involved in a lot of contract jobs in my life, and I know contractors, sometimes jobs go great and they make a lot more money, and I've never ever run into one that was going to give the city some money back because the job went better than expected. So I think it's just one of those lessons he learned, and I think we'll just move on from that. So Becky's informed me there's another person that on the guest citizens forum, Marilyn Osepic, is that right?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm Marilyn Osepic with AEOA, and I'm the director of the Senior Services Department. And most of you know that we have gotten into the food distribution for the last, since May. The USDA Agriculture, they have these food boxes, and we've been distributing food probably on a weekly basis since the beginning of June. And so we're in phase 5 right now of this USDA, and the food right now is coming from Michigan. And Michigan is servicing some company there is picking up the USDA products and bringing it to Minnesota. And so the last Thursday in January we started, and we're distributing through February, and phase 5 is supposed to go through April. But there's rumors and so forth. We're not sure about March right now, but we are going through February. And the reason I'm here is that a couple months back, we haven't had distributions in Hoyt Lakes. Maybe some of you have seen it in the arena parking lot. We did do, and I don't remember the date, but we did do 175 42 meal kits in the arena, and all the product went. And it went pretty quick. Those 42 meal kit boxes, they had one box for breakfast, one box for lunch, and one box for supper. Anyway, long story short, just wondering if you folks would be interested in having a food distribution in Hoyt Lakes. What the boxes are right now, it's fresh produce, there's dairy, there's meat, and then there's a gallon of milk for each household. And we're getting weekly deliveries. 1 week it's in Hibbing, 1 week it's in Virginia. And we're loading up Arrowhead Transit buses with these food boxes and getting it across the country to, across our Arrowhead region to other areas. So we have like 6 to 8 buses at any time that we're loading up on a Thursday to go to Aiken County, to go to International Falls. And so what I'm asking is if the city of Hoyt Lakes is interested, and what that would mean for you folks is that if you are interested, we would need to have about 8 volunteers every other week, or however often you'd like. When I look up to our people that are working on this food committee, the next earliest that if you were interested is February 25th. And
I think it's a great idea, Marilyn.
So,
I really do.
Okay, so I don't want to scare you, but we could have up to 140 boxes. We could free up 140 boxes of food, and those boxes are 23 pounds. On top of the box of food, each household gets a gallon of milk. And when we have done this in the past, there are people who pick up for multiple households. I can tell you the last time we did it in Virginia, which was last Thursday, there was a vehicle that picked up for 9 households. There's seniors who come in and they're picking it up for their neighbors or other friends. So that is a possibility. So let me just run down what that would mean for you folks. We would need to have about 8 volunteers. We can't free up any from AEOA because right now we have a lot of people working at home still. There is a crew in Virginia working, but as of this morning, we only had 10 volunteers signed up to work in Hibbing. We are now at 20. With the cold weather, that doesn't bring out everybody. And we do somewhat of a registration. We don't ask for names. What we ask is not how many people are in a household, the age, if they're under 18, between 18 and 65 or over 65, better, disabled, and a zip code. And when they register a car, maybe they're picking up for 4 or 5. We put a sticky note on the car that says this car is picking up for 5 households. Then when they get to the line where the food is, those volunteers can see the number 4. They're going to put 4 boxes of food, 4 gallons of milk into that vehicle, and then go on. I did send Becky my notes for today's meeting, and she can share that, and make copies for folks or what have you. But each box of food is 23 pounds and then a gallon of milk. And we load those boxes into Arrowhead Transit, and we bring them to the communities. And when I talked to other folks involved with the distribution, we're thinking that if we did it on February 25th, we could have the Arrowhead Transit bus leaving for Hoyt Lakes by 12:15, arrive at Hoyt Lakes at 1:30. Becky has all this information.
Okay, so 1:30. How long does it take?
Okay, so I'm going to say that it may take a half hour for the volunteers, maybe not even that, to unload the food, the bus has to get going. It can't stay there, just so you know. So we could send pallets, 2 or 3 pallets, to load the boxes on so it's not sitting on the cold ground, although that wouldn't really make a difference when it's cold. But if it gets slushy, you don't want, boxes getting wet. It may take a half hour to unload the boxes of food and milk, and then maybe start the food distribution at 2 o'clock. And I would say, just depending on how many boxes you would want to start with, you could get up to 140 if you want to go that high. I would say that this distribution, if we advertise it in advance on our Facebook and in the paper, you could be done with your distribution in a half hour.
Okay.
I'm gonna maybe up to an hour if you took all the 140.
Okay.
I don't. You know what? I don't want your folks to have to come to Virginia to pick up their food. For those that it might be a hardship. The distribution goes every Thursday, but Virginia is a big area. Sometimes you get there, you're waiting in line for an hour and a half. We say don't come, 15 minutes earlier, but people get there an hour earlier, hour and a half earlier. They're waiting on the street to start the distribution, and they could be waiting and come to the end, and there's not enough food. If it's in your area, we're more likely to be able to serve your community better. And then I had thought that if you are interested, we should have some contact information. People could contact it for our agency, just in case there's something delayed with the truck coming from Michigan, although he's been coming the night before, so that hasn't been a problem. Or if there's something on your end, it's something with the volunteers that we might have to scramble and maybe try to send somebody else to help out. I don't know. Maybe there's boxes left over. And when that's happened in the past, some of the people that have come through, or we called the EMT, the fire department or the EMT, and they've come with their vehicle and they've picked up food because they know people, or the police department, they could pick up maybe some boxes for people that they may know. You could contact the senior housing, or if there's assisted living in the area, that maybe they could take some boxes just in case. Well, that's in a nutshell. We're just, Palo now is doing it with their township folks, manning the volunteering. Although they say we're going to be scrambling if it snows, then, we got to pull those folks and they got to go plow the roads. They said they would have backup for it. But what's surprising is how many folks have come through the line. We kept track of the zip codes, and there are quite a few people from your area that are coming through. And we just thought, let's see if you folks would be interested in having a distribution. And what we've had the distribution in the arena parking lot. They come through on one entrance. They make two lines, and we have the food kind of stacked. And there's a left and a right. They come through. People register, and it goes pretty quickly.
I think it's a great plan. Any council have any questions for Marilyn?
No, I think it's a great plan as well, Mayor. I would personally be willing to volunteer to be one of the helpers for distributing it. So
Okay.
you folks would have to figure out, maybe there's some civic organizations. There's a Lions Club in your area. They've I think expressed interest.
Yeah, I don't see any problem at all getting 8 volunteers. Dan, I'm with you. I'll volunteer too. If it's okay with everybody, I'll be the lead volunteer on it, and I will make sure we get 8 people there, Marilyn. So
okay. So do you want to start with February 25th?
Sure, that sounds great.
Okay, so I did send Becky what we put on Facebook for the Hibbing distribution. And so we would add White Lakes. Do we want to leave it for the arena again, that parking lot? Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, and I'm thinking 2 o'clock. We could put a distribution time of 2 o'clock.
Okay, that sounds great. Yep, I'm wide open that day.
Okay, so do you mind if I just continue going through Becky then? And she can.
Yes. Yeah, go through City Hall and they can contact me with any
Okay.
updates on it.
Okay. And Becky can sure contact me, but what I did put another person's name on that sheet that sheet that I gave Becky. I put Jessica Zoller. She's the administrative assistant at AEOA. When we've had the food distributions, and if there's any problems, we have one contact person that everybody calls in case something comes up with a bus. We have, problems with a bus, maybe flat tire on their way to, delivering to you guys. I don't know, but so something comes up, she's the contact person, and I put her cell phone number so people can put that in their phone, in case there's a problem.
Okay, yeah, I'll stop at City Hall tomorrow and get that information.
Okay, perfect. And okay, so we'll do February 25th. And do you want to go with the March 11th and 25th dates then, tentatively? So that would be every other week.
I think so. Everybody okay with that, Council?
I think that sounds wonderful.
So the last question I have for you, how many boxes do you want to take? I said earlier you could go up to 140. You certainly don't have to do that. But
what's everybody's thoughts?
I would say let's start up at 140, and if we need to adjust it in 2 weeks, if we find out we don't have that.
And you certainly can do that. You can certainly do that.
Do you know
Sounds
how
like a good
many?
plan.
I was just going to ask. Do you know how many boxes went when we did it? When you guys did it before at the arena?
Well, I'll just say we served 175 households.
Okay, so yeah,
and it all went pretty much.
Let's go with the 140 and then see from there.
Well, and what we gave out for the 175, that was shelf stable. That was groceries. That wasn't, produce, and it wasn't what we've been getting in the boxes right now has been a bag of apples, a bag of potatoes, could be oranges. It's been yogurt. It's been shredded chicken. It's been a block of white or regular cheddar cheese. And then I think it's the 2% gallon milk. I can tell you that the 23 pounds of the box, we do assembly line when we're loading a Arrowhead Transit bus with boxes. There are 3 of us in the bus, just handing it off to the next person. So it's not a lot of work. And I would say do the same thing when you're loading it. Get 3 or 4 people in assembly line, so it goes faster and you're not taxing anyone. The heaviest thing is the milk, the 4 gallons of milk. I can't do it on a regular basis, do the milk. It's heavy. I don't know how much it weighs, but it's more than 23 pounds.
Yeah, no, I think it'll work just fine. I don't have any issue with getting enough people to come and help with that. So
okay, so I'm going to tentatively, we'll start off with 140. If we have to adjust it, we will, but I will put you on for 140 on the 11th and the 25th just to put a holding place for you.
And then the 25th of February will be the first one.
25th of February, yes.
Okay.
Sounds like a
Perfect.
plan. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Question. So the local advertising will be up to us then to get ads in the shopper and on the sign?
If you want to put it in the shopper, I guess I'll Becky, we can send Becky, what we're putting it on Facebook and
okay.
And then Mesabi Daily News will have that in the Pulse section on the second page in. We'll have AEOA distribution. We can mention Hoyt Lakes on for that week then.
Yep.
And then Sue, I would imagine we'd want to put it on the sign.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, we'll get it on the website too.
Okay, and then I did send Becky a picture of the arena parking lot. It kind of will show how we would set it up coming in on one, and you do have entrance and then exit, and then how the 2 lines can come through. Yes, and we'll be sending Becky the registration forms, and then you just need 2 clipboards. But if it's like cold this Thursday, we're not going to do registration because we're not going to freeze fingers. doing registration. You know, we like to track just the service numbers, but you know what, we're not at the, health of our volunteers. So
Okay.
let you know when we're not doing it either.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you much.
Yeah, Kenny, we'll look at that, help
Bye-bye.
us set up the parking lot. Okay, thank you.
That
Becky,
sounds good. That sounds good. And if you need help with volunteers, Chris, let me know.
Yep. Becky, do we have anything else for guests and citizen?
That's all I'm aware of, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to 5, reports from staff. I didn't see Wade's not on, is he?
He's not on.
Okay. Library Director, Sue Sowers.
Good evening, everyone. Our winter adult reading program is going very well. We have over 50 people participating and working their way towards New Orleans. Next week, in celebration of our reading program, because we're including the Mississippi River in New Orleans, we are doing a Mardi Gras parade driving through town, decorating our truck and throwing the typical beads and moon pies and chocolate coins. We also have Miss Hoyt Lakes and the runner-up will be joining us, and hopefully some of the emergency vehicles and anybody else in the public that would like to join our parade. We're lining up by the EMS building about 4:30. And we're not doing the whole town because it is cold. So we're doing kind of the outskirts and then a couple of roads down the middle, and then down Suffolk and do a loop around Viking and Lakeview. The map will be posted on our Facebook page, and I might put it in the paper. We'll see. And then also next week, we are holding a silent auction to raise money for the Children's Summer Reading Program. We have a lot of wonderful donations already. So you can start. We'll be putting out Wednesday or Thursday. You can call in or stop by or message us and get your number for bidding. It's going to be all anonymous bidding. So anybody that would like to place a bid on an item will call us or see us. We'll give them a number, and that number will be used to bid. So nobody will know who you're actually bidding against. And we will be posting pictures of everything up for bid on our Facebook page, so you can bid virtually or in person. And that's it.
What day was the parade, Sue? I'm sorry.
Tuesday evening, starting at 5:00.
So the 16th. So
yep,
they're
that's
both on
that
the 16th.
Tuesday.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Any questions for Sue? Okay, moving on down. Public Works Director, Kenny Snetziger.
Not a lot from me tonight, Chris. I apologize earlier there. I got disconnected somehow. I hope there wasn't more for me regarding the concrete. We're catching up on a lot of things at Public Works. This cold weather kind of forces us inside, and that's a good thing when you don't have to be out in it. So we've had a lot of projects that have actually been on a list for several years, and stuff's getting brought inside, rebuilt, repainted, restained, food booths, a lot of stuff like that. We've gone through all our old barricades and rebuilding stuff. It's really a great time to be doing it, and I feel like we're getting a lot accomplished. Other than that, I just wanted to let all the other department heads and council know both myself and Tammy will be on vacation next week. So if you have anything for us for the following week, get a hold of us before we leave on Friday at quitting time. Other than that, that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you, Kenny. Public Utility Supervisor Jake Barrett.
All right. Well, since last we spoke, we had 2 water main breaks, one on Wyandotte and Suffolk, and one on Leeds and Waltham. Both those have been dug and repaired. Public Works helped us on January 13th repair a curb stop. We don't usually do those in the winter, but it was a unique situation. A guy was moving in to remodel. He needed the water off. Got a revised NPDES permit from the MPCA. We're actually going to be getting another one. They messed up some things, or there's some things they didn't catch on the DMR. So the February one will be updated properly. Got the pre-treatment annual report submitted. Mercury minimization plan is done. I just want to review it, and I'll be sending that off. And aside from that, though, at the water plant, the heaters are working again, so that's good, especially in this cold snap. And that's about all I got, other than items for later.
Okay. Any questions for Jake? Ambulance Director, Melanie Olmstead.
I don't have much tonight. January, we had 75 calls, which is up, I think, 15 from last year. So we're already up from last year, go figure. Other than that, we don't have much. Everyone's excited to get back to in-person training. We got some fun things scheduled this month.
Okay. Mesabi East Youth Sports Coordinator, Mark Gore.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
Glad I first logged on. I had to bring my kid back from swim, so I was glad it took a while to get to me because I had to drive home. Basically, I just wanted to check in with everybody and kind of tell everybody, what's been going on since I took the position. Obviously, COVID has thrown a big wrench in everything that we could or couldn't do. Last summer, we still had Babe Ruth. We had Senior Legion, Majors, Minors. And actually last year we had, for the first time in several years, we had a 12U softball team and a 10U softball team. And we're looking to add to those this year. Last year we couldn't do T-ball or coach pitch. None of the surrounding communities at all. No one else did them either. So everything was basically shut down for that age group. Just too hard to herd cats and keep them confined and away from each other. Social distance with 4 to 6 year olds is difficult, especially last year as it just started. I think now that they've been in school and it's getting hammered into them a little bit, maybe this year we will have it this year. It'll be a little bit easier. Hopefully numbers are down and we don't see as many restrictions as we have right now. But I fully intend on having T-ball, coach pitch, minors, majors, Babe Ruth. We'll have a junior Legion team this year. We're going to move away from the senior Legion. Senior Legion, a lot of times you have kids that are freshmen in college coming back and they're playing in that. And with the way our baseball program works, a lot of our kids are, they're sophomores in high school or even freshmen playing on that team. And then they're having to compete with kids that are freshmen in college. And it's a lot more difficult. I mean, it's a harder game to play, obviously. We want to see them have as much success as possible to keep those numbers up. And, it's tough losing a lot of games all the time. So we're trying to find ways that help build that high school program with those kids that we have coming back in it. So we're going to go to a junior Legion team this year. We'll put an 8U softball team on the field. This is the first time that we've ever done that here. And I've been reaching out to other local communities, and I have a few on board to do a couple of double headers for these kids, because typically that 8U age is people would still be in coach pitch. So you have your boys and your girls together. Last year I went in and I talked to all the kids at the school, and that was the age group that I seen the most interest out of the girls to play softball. Once they found out softball was a girls sport and they didn't have to play with the boys, they were really excited about that. And I think by putting a bigger ball out there for them to hit, they're going to see more success at hitting and breed some more excitement. And hopefully we can build some numbers back up within our programs for that also. Obviously we didn't have all the usage of the facilities that I would have liked to have seen last summer because of that. Our numbers were lacking. One minors team and one majors team, and the Babe Ruth and Legion. We didn't utilize a lot of our local fields. We used Aurora, and that was basically it, because it's set up. It's got stands, it's got dugouts, it's got everything ready right there. But this year, we should see more usage on all the fields in all the different communities that service the Mesabi East area, basically. Right now, last fall, we had flag football. We opened it up to 6th through 8th graders even, just because there was no junior high football. It met with mixed success. Some people showed up, some people didn't. They all wanted to play football, and not flag football. But, it was the only thing that was really available to them until a little bit later in the year. We actually did have some junior high football games. We also did beach volleyball, and, it started late. So the first few weeks, numbers were pretty good. And then it started getting colder and colder. Usually people aren't playing beach volleyball in 40-degree weather. But we actually did, every week we had a fair number of girls that showed up every week. They enjoyed it. They had fun. It was out of the ordinary for sure. It was something different for them, but it was an activity that at least they had something when there was nothing else going on. And we launched that before the volleyball season was granted its access to actually happen. So that's what my main concern was, just getting something for these kids to be able to get out and do things during a time that, everybody's been kind of sequestered and stuck in homes. And, it's, they all got to get out and move around and burn off some energy. So it was a good thing. Maybe we'll look at something in the summer for that beach volleyball, because it was met with some success. If the weather would have been better, I think it would have really worked out really well. Right now we got Pony League basketball. We have roughly like 45 participants. Some weeks 40 show up, some weeks it's almost like 50. So we're right in that 45-ish area. And that's actually an increase over what we had last year. That's the only sport so far, other than softball, that we've seen an increase in people signing up and coming out. But I think, without T-ball and coach pitch, anything to get those kindergarten through third grade kids out moving around, parents were jumping on that for sure, just to get the kids out of the house and moving. Those kids, they do have to wear masks the whole time that they're there. And when that ruling first came out, they actually were telling us we couldn't have parents in attendance either. And with our county league and with Pony League at first, numbers weren't looking very good, because a lot of parents were saying, I don't feel comfortable making my kid wear a mask while they're running around doing all this stuff, and I'm not there. What if something happens? So we eventually were able to let one parent for each child that's in that pony age be in attendance in the gym. Some of the sports are allowing 2, but if I have 30 kids in that gym running around doing basketball and every single one of them has 2 parents, I'd have 60 parents sitting around the sidelines, and there's just not enough room to do that. So we managed to just cut that down to 1. County league, we can actually have 2 kids or 2 parents or 2 people that get to watch their kids play or grandkids play. When we first had our signups were also at the same time stating that, we weren't going to be able to have anybody in attendance. And that really hurt numbers for that county league, because that's a league where they play on Saturdays. You might play in Mountain Iron, you might play in Cherry, you might play at Southridge. So parents would have had to drive to Southridge on a Saturday for one basketball game and sit in their vehicle while their kid played. So we saw a really large reduction in numbers for our county league this year. For the boys, we had to combine our 4th and 5th grade together, and we still only have 6 kids on that team. So there's 6 boys in that 4th and 5th grade combined team. The 6th grade, that class typically had about 15 kids that were involved. We only had 6 come out. So we actually moved them up into the junior high team with Eric Skelton, and they're actually having some pretty good success. More success than they've had in the past. They're winning more games now than they had before, which, is a testament to Eric's coaching. He's done a really good job with those kids, and he enjoys it. So that's been it was kind of a silver lining in that, those kids get to actually work with someone who's been coaching for a while, who has a consistent program. They're growing a lot as players because of that. Our girls, we have a 4th and 5th grade girls team combined. There's 14 girls in that team. We had 7 and 7, 7 4th graders, 7 5th graders. Same thing. If you're wearing a mask and running full court basketball, it's difficult, to say the least. So we put them together. That way, if anybody gets sick, we're not showing up with only 5 kids for a game. And then our 6th grade team, there's 11 girls in that team. So they have full teams. We've hosted the last 3 weekends in a row at the school. Only 4 of the 6 communities that are in this county league this year, because some communities didn't do anything. They didn't even have it, or they're starting really late. Like Virginia didn't do anything. I don't think Having did anything. They're all starting to come online now a little bit and trying to pick some games up, but only 4 communities host. So of the 7 weeks we have basketball, I'm actually at the school on Saturday mornings for 5 of them, 5 consecutive weekends, just so we can, have places to play and have these kids active. That pretty much, that's present day, gets me to the main reason why I wanted to come in and talk to everybody here. The people of our community, not just the kids, like we all need to be active. I mean, especially the kids, but we all need to be active. And it's been difficult to do my job this year because of COVID, but also just the lack of some of the facilities. We haven't had access to facilities to utilize a place where people can come together to do anything. And at a time when parents already struggle to get their kids away from TVs and video games and telephones, now we're saying, here, stare at this thing some more, and it's making the problem of getting kids active. It's making it an even larger problem. In all reality, they're going to be addicted to the personal devices that they have. They already were, and now we're shoving it in their face an extra 5 to 6 hours a day. So it really worries me, the long-term effects of what's happening with this. It's really concerning. We're seeing increased rates of depression, increased suicides in high school and adolescent kids, not just high school. Like when I talk about suicide, we're talking about kids that are 4th, 5th, 6th grade that are actually depressed to the point where they're actually trying to commit suicide at that age, which is staggering. And by sequestering these kids and leaving them stuck inside and not allowing them to socialize or be physically active, I mean, we're handicapping them mentally, physically, and socially. They don't have social skills because they can't get out and do things. 1 in 6 kids in the United States is already obese, and obesity carries into adulthood at a much higher rate if they're obese when they're a child. 10 of the top 12 causes of death in the United States are directly linked to obesity, including like suicide. That's linked to obesity also. So by keeping the people in our communities in homes and not giving them options, safe options, reasonably safe options to get out, socialize, and be physically active, like the long-term problems we are actually creating it's going to be a heavy burden on our society. And it's my job to make sure that these kids have stuff available to them and the adults of our community. I would like to see more stuff offered to the adults, whether it's co-ed volleyball, co-ed basketball leagues, beanbag leagues, anything and everything to get the people of our community out, active, socializing with one another. A lot of the people in this meeting right now grew up in Hoyt Lakes or in this area, and you think about the things that were available to our community members, 20, 30, 40 years ago, and then what is available to us now when it comes to like youth events or even adult stuff. We're a shadow of what we used to be, and we have to figure out ways to bring that back. And that's what my job is. But in order for me to do that, we need more access to certain things, to indoor facilities in the winter. And we can place restrictions, regulations, rules, whatever we need to do to open up those facilities. But we need access to them, or I need access to them to make those things happen. And that's what I'm coming to talk to you guys about is, I hope we really contemplate and really carefully weigh out the long-term consequences of continuing to restrict our communities the way we have been. I think we're doing more harm than we're doing good in what's happened so far. I'm sure there's conflicting, there's going to be people who don't agree that we should keep everything shut down still and make everybody stay at home, but it's not healthy. It's not healthy for our youth. It's not healthy for our adults. And there are ways that we can make sure we're offering them as safe a place as we possibly can, whether it's cleaning, masks, social distancing, whatever. But to keep everything closed and have nothing available, I think it's a mistake. That's what I came mostly to say is I'm just pleading the case of those people who really want to get out and be active and do things. I mean, you can walk around and talk to people and everybody, they're going stir crazy. Like they've been in their homes for so long now with a limited number of things to do. And I would like to see that change.
Well, let's hope with vaccines going around, we start getting a handle on this and moving forward. So anybody have any comments for Mark?
I guess, Mark, in particular, is there a facility or a building that you don't have access that you would like to have access to, or?
I mean, at this point in time, anything we can get access to indoors. I don't know. For a while, the arena was closed. Now it's open for hockey. I don't know. Would I have access to that gym for youth events at this point in time? I think Cindy Warshak might have talked to Wayne earlier this year, and that access wasn't going to be granted at that point in time for basketball. If we can utilize that gym, that would help. We could open up pickleball in the afternoons. I know before we were doing pickleball in that arena during the day for retired folks and everything else, but I have a large group of people that have expressed interest in a pickleball league for anybody from the ages of 12 to 90, whatever. Just so same thing, we can get out and get active. We could utilize the arena gym for a beanbag league. We could have co-ed volleyball, and we can restrict the numbers of people that go in at any given time and then leave a large enough time gap before the next group comes in where we could, if we have to clean, we have to do whatever, We're playing basketball with masks on. We can play volleyball with masks on too. Just anything to get people together.
Chris, you want to talk to Wade and just do a checkup on the gym part of it? I'm kind of in that favor. I think we need to start letting people do things. So
I am too. I think the only concern might be the people coming in for hockey and then people coming in for that. I think that might be the only issue, but we can definitely look into it and see how we can make it work.
Okay.
Yeah, and we can schedule. I mean, there's hockey there almost every single weekend right now, but if we could figure out any way to make that work, I know even if we were able to get access to the downstairs of the old youth center, I mean, I know that there's a ping pong table in the garage in the back, and I've had people express interest in a ping pong league. Same thing. We can put it in the downstairs of the community center and schedule 1 hour at a time. No more than 4 people, doubles playing each other or whatever. Just something to get people out. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm hoping we can move forward with some stuff. And then the more things open up, the more stuff I can bring out and add to it.
Okay. Thanks, Mark. Tony,
No
I see you're on. Tony, I see you're on.
I am.
Do you have anything for now or just on the agenda?
Well, I can wait.
Okay.
Unless you want me to go over it now.
No, we'll wait. It's coming up pretty quick.
All right.
Okay. City Clerk Becky Burrich.
I have nothing tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Attorney Mitch Brunfeld.
Mayor, nothing for me. There's just some agenda items coming up that I might have comments on.
Okay, thank you. Reports from City Council. Councilor Zins.
Just agenda items tonight.
Councilor Pop.
The same for me, Mayor, just council items or agenda items.
Councilor Peterson.
I don't have anything.
Councilor Kramer.
I attended the chamber meeting last Tuesday, and just an FYI, they are thinking about doing another Easter parade. So there'll be more information about that coming as they plan that. And anybody can join that parade.
Okay, thank you. The only item I have for council tonight is everybody should have their packets for tomorrow night's meeting. If you review the applications, and we'll discuss that at tomorrow night's meeting. So moving on to old business. Item 8A, ambulance tuition agreement, EMS Director Mel Olmsted and Attorney Brunfeld. Mel?
Yep. Mitch got me a copy. We added a couple things, got that back, and we should be good.
Mitch, are you comfortable with it?
Yeah, so Mel and I worked on it together, and the final version that we put together here late last week is good to go, and I think she can go ahead and start utilizing it.
Okay. Now, Becky, do we need a motion on that?
We should have a motion to approve.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm looking for
I
a
have a
motion
quick
to.
question. Mel,
Okay.
how many do we have in class right now?
3 in class for right now. One more needs to take the class.
So none of these have signed, obviously, this document.
No, but they were told about it when they applied. One of them's using it PSEO, so that one we don't really need to worry about. It'd be 2 that we'd worry about.
Okay.
But they were aware of the contract before they got hired, and I'm sure they'll both sign it. If they don't sign it, then they pay for it themselves. So.
Okay. Any other questions? Deb, just a FYI for you, Deb. This is just we've decided to pay for their EMS training. They'd have to stay on for 2 years instead of us paying for their EMT classes and then not joining the department and us stuck with the bills. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the tuition assistance agreement for the ambulance.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Councillor Zins. Is there support?
I'll support.
Support by Councillor Peterson. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councillor Zins,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Kramer,
Yes.
Mayor Breland.
Yes, motion carries. Item B, adopt ordinance 222 after a 10-day posting requirement and ordinance repealing and replacing the definition of a vehicle in section 91.02 of the Hoyt Lake City Code. Dan, I think you and Mitch were working on this.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, and just for anybody in attendance, the biggest thing that we did there is change the definition of the vehicle to also include campers, including motorized, self-propelled campers, pull-behind campers, or camper trailers, pop-up campers, pickup bed campers, and then also it included boats in the motorized vehicles. We are, starting to accumulate a fairly large amount of boats and campers that haven't moved in years, and it's time to start getting them cleaned up. So I think the changes that we made there are right spot on. So.
All right, Mitch, are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, Mayor, we're all set on this. This is where we had given it kind of a tentative reading at the last city council meeting, and then it had to be posted for a period of at least 10 days. Now it's ready for formal council action. So this will be the final approval, and then it officially goes into effect once it's finally published in the legal newspaper, which will happen here, I'm sure, within a matter of days. So once it's officially published, it's then in effect.
Perfect. Any other discussion or questions on this? Not hearing any. Could I get a motion to approve City of Hoyt Lake's ordinance number 222?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Councillor Pop. Is there support?
I'll support.
Support by Councillor Peterson. Roll call, please.
Councillor Zins,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Kramer,
Yes.
Mayor Breland.
Yes, motion carries. Item C, Mississippi to the Iron Range Historical Mine Tour. Monetary donation. Is Sarah Carling, are you on?
I am. Good evening.
Good evening.
So we were just asking, I know we presented, was that 2 weeks ago now? To you guys about that tour. We're just asking for you to consider that, what are we calling it? The donation. It's not even a donation. It's a marketing contribution for your city, where you'll get all of the photos, videography, the signage, all of those things will all be included in that. And then we're also asking for that letter of support.
Okay, I think the letter of support is in our packet tonight, so you'll be getting that. What's the average small town donating right now?
So per location, we're asking for a minimum of $1,000. I can tell you this evening, this is the fourth city council meeting I've been at tonight, so I apologize. I'm a little fried. But everybody is doing about $1,000 to $2,000 per location.
Okay. Questions or discussion, council?
The donation funds, where would we take these from, or give these funds come from?
In our city council budget, there's a line item. I think it just might say miscellaneous right now, but it's out of that fund that we use monies for tourism, marketing. There have been funds like to the United Way that we've used out of that line item. And so it would come out of there, Dave.
Okay, thank you.
Wasn't this going to another meeting? I was just curious what happened with that meeting from after the last one.
I think Mayor, were you going to bring it up at the East Range Joint Powers Board?
Yes, and I did not. Oh, I did bring it up. But they were waiting for them to come, and they were gonna give them a presentation. So there was no action taken on it. So
okay.
Yes, we plan on having an individual meeting for that as well. We're needing the support from individual communities more so than outside organizations to get larger grant donations from IRRR and Blandon Foundation. They need to know that the communities are also on board with this project.
Yeah, I think it's a good marketing tool, bringing more people into town. So I guess is any council person willing to make a motion on an amount here?
I would make a motion for $1,500.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor from Councilor Pop for $1,500 donation. Is there support?
I'll support that.
Support by Councilor Zins. Any further discussion? Not hearing any. Roll call.
Councilor Zins.
Yes.
Pop.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Kramer.
Yes.
Mayor Vreeland.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. And I will reach back out to Becky because I'll be working with you guys in the near future to identify those other amenities and things like that within your community we'll highlight.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to new business, to approve application for payment number 6, Gritter Construction, in the amount of $145,802 for the wastewater treatment facility improvement project. Brian.
Yes, so we have pay request 6 here. Things are progressing a little slow over the last couple months with a couple shutdowns during the cold around Christmas, and now the contractor's also not working this week, but they are still moving ahead. Not a whole lot to speak of. I guess the one thing that popped up on the site was we did find a large rock, probably the size of a Chevy Tahoe. We found the top of it, didn't quite find the bottom of it. And this is the first one we found that was really difficult to work with. And so initially they brought Bogalis in to try to split the rock, and they broke their equipment on it. And so we just had to relocate a few things around it, and we're just going to leave it in place. And so not a huge deal. We did have some allowance or unit price in the contract for boulder removal. And so the things we have to shift to go around it, just a couple pipe fittings, we'll take out of that allowance to account for that rock. So that is about the most exciting thing that's happened out there. Otherwise, it'll be probably slow going here still for the next month until days get longer and things warm up a little bit. So if there's any questions on anything else, I'll be happy to discuss it. So,
any questions for Brian? Not hearing anything. Could I get a motion to approve payment number 6 to Gritter Construction?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Councilor Peterson. Is there support?
I'll support that.
Support by Councilor Pop. Roll call.
Councilor Zins.
Yes.
Pop.
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Kramer,
Yes.
Mayor Vreeland.
Yes, motion carries. Next item is to approve the NTS invoice dated January 31st, 2021 in the amount of $418 for material testing for the wastewater treatment plant. Brian, is this to test that crushed concrete?
No, this is, this would be testing a strength for concrete. And so during the course of the project, when they're pouring concrete, we test the concrete to meet specs.
Okay.
And so this is concrete testing. So, and you guys had a contract with NTS that was outside the project for that material testing. So.
Yep. Okay, can I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Councillor Zinn, support?
I'll support.
Support by Councillor Kramer. Roll call.
Counselor Zins,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Kramer,
Yes.
Mayor Vreeland.
Yes, motion carries. Just an FYI to council, Kenny and I spoke that large concrete pile we had crushed from the Suffolk project this year. Gritter's is looking at using a bunch of that, which they'll pay us for. So we'll get some money back on that. So they were going to come in and do some testing to make sure it met the code for the engineering. But hopefully we'll be able to sell a bunch of that to the Gritter project. So Brian or Kenny, has that been sampled yet?
Yes, the samples were given to NTS 2 weeks ago. I received the gradation reports last Thursday. I forwarded them on to Brian Goulden, I think Thursday or Friday of last week.
Yep. So I do have those results, and I was gone last week, but I'll talk to the contractor, and I haven't been able to look at the results yet to see how they meet the spec and where we could use that material. And then I think essentially probably what you would do is if the contractor's purchasing it from you, in some ways you're kind of paying yourself out of one fund to another. And since this project is mostly grant funded, you'll be paying it out of the project back to another portion of the city. So we'll work on details of where that could be used and work through the pricing here, and get back to, we'll work with Kenny and let you guys know how all that turns out. So
sounds good.
Yeah, I feel this money could probably go into the general fund, see how much we make off of it. But we've got a very large pile out there that's worth quite a bit of money right now. So it'll help offset that Suffolk project a little bit with getting some revenue back in and selling that material. So, okay, moving on, new business, item B, approved quote of Walker process equipment dated January 27th, 2021 for a gearbox to be mounted on the existing mixer at the wastewater treatment plant, $5,640. Supervisor Barron.
Yeah, so what happened here is a bearing went out on top of that gearbox there. I don't know if water got in there. We had been doing oil changes and maintaining it, but it popped a couple of rollers out of that bearing. It got into the gears and messed things up inside of there. So this has to be replaced. We reached out to Walker because they're the ones that designed this mixer for us. Councillor Pop did bring up another site that had a gearbox. Unfortunately, that one is not compatible with our setup. We did get in contact with them. We sent them the specs for the unit, and they said they don't have anything. So
okay,
this will take 8 to 10 weeks to arrive. So
motion to approve. We need a mixer on the digester. Sounds exciting, I know, but
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Councillor Peterson. Support?
I'll support.
Support by Councillor Pop. Roll call.
Counselor Zins,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Kramer. Counselor Kramer, I think you're muted. Sorry.
Yes.
Thank you. Mayor Vreeland.
Yes, motion carries. Item C, to approve the quote of USA Blue Book dated February 3rd, 2021 in the amount of $3,469 for portable parallel analyzer. And this is a budgeted item. And usually these larger budgeted items, I just request the supervisor put it on the agenda. So any questions for Jake on this? Not hearing any. Can I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Counselor Zinn, support.
I'll support.
Support by Counselor Kramer. Roll call.
Counselor Zins,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Kramer,
Yes.
Mayor Vreeland.
Yes, motion carries. Item D, to accept the following resignation letters. Catherine Carlson, firefighter, EMT, effective immediately. Shannon Hellender, EMT, effective immediately. Scott Garrett, firefighter, effective January 21st, 2021. He will remain on EMS for now. And Mark Gort, firefighter, EMT, effective immediately. Can I get a motion accepting these resignations?
I'll make the
I'll
motion.
make that motion. Mayor Vreeland made the motion. Support?
I'll support.
Support by Counselor Peterson. Roll call.
Counselor Zins,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Kramer,
Yes.
Mayor Vreeland.
Yes, motion carries. Fire department hiring. I put this on the agenda and asked Fire Chief House to come. It's basically for a informational update for the council. We're starting to get down there in number of firefighters, and it's not just us, it's everybody. All small departments are struggling, so I'll turn it over to Fire Chief Tony House.
So basically where we're at right now, with losing 5 in the last month, puts our numbers down to 15 as of today. We do have, it's advertised on the arena sign. We're going to put it in the East Range Shopper. Should be in there for this weekend. And then we do have it on our Facebook page for applications for firefighter EMTs. And then the biggest thing is just that we got to be aware, if our numbers drop down to 10, we can no longer legally have a fire department in the city. And in the next 3 years, in the next 2 years, we could possibly lose 7 people. We have one that's got time in, and Vreeland could retire at any time. I have 2 other ones that can What's that?
I'm not gonna let her though, so.
No, I already told her she can't. But I have 2 others that could retire within the next year and a half. And then there's 3 of us that can go within 2 years. So in a total of 7 people in the next 3 years that could retire. And our numbers aren't really going up rapidly. And then one other thing that we did implement now is a box alarm for any structure fire. So they'll automatically dispatch us, or any structure fire in the city of White Lakes, will automatically dispatch White Lakes, Aurora, and Palo. I know every department around on the Iron Range is struggling for numbers right now. So I don't know if in the near future we might have to have conversations on where we go from here, but we're going to advertise and see if we can get anyone. So if you know anyone who wants to be a firefighter EMT, we'll take them.
And I just have a thought too, to let the council know. I think one of the reasons we're struggling a little more is because you have to be an EMT to be on our department. You know, you've got Aurora and Palo don't have to be EMTs, and we've always had it. You had to have both. But if we get to a situation where we're getting low on numbers, we might have to look at just hiring firefighter only to keep our numbers up. It's just something to think about. I know Tony's been approached by several people in town that are very interested in the firefighting, but not the EMS. And EMS takes kind of a special person to want to deal with that. I mean, that's a lot of time consuming. So I know, Dan, you've been on a long time, and I know you see this happening too.
Yeah, it's a troubling thing that there just aren't the people out there anymore that are willing to dedicate the time that it takes to do both. hate to have to separate the two, because really the only way that we can hold people accountable right now is by them maintaining their service credits and maintaining, you know, their activity in the department. So we definitely don't want to hire people that aren't really going to be an asset to the people. We need people that are willing to sign on and do what we're asking them to do, and the reason why we're hiring them to help out in the community. So yeah, it's a troubling thing, and you know, it's one of those things where it's kind of comical because Mayor, you told Ann she couldn't retire, and that's one of the reasons why this summer I'm probably going to have 35 years in as an EMT. The young folks keep telling me I can't quit, so one of these days it's going to come to an end. So.
Well, Tony, you know, I'm leaving it up to the fire chief. If you start to get concerned anymore, I think we're going to have a special meeting and look at our options. You know, some departments are offering bonuses, increasing their pay. You know, people's lives are busier than they were 20 years ago. 20 years ago on the fire department ambulance, there was 200 ambulance runs here. We hit 950 this year. It went from a part-time gig to it's very, very time consuming now. They got to do 24 hours a month minimum on the ambulance. And, you know, so there's going to be options. We're going to probably have to have a special council meeting to talk about it, where we're going to go if we keep losing any more people. So, but if anybody out there is looking to join the fire department, we're sure looking for people. So anybody else have any other?
I was just going to ask, is this kind of what we're seeing, like with the resignations? You think it's more related to the EMS, the EMT side of it, having to do that?
I'd say some of it. The EMT class is a hard class to take and pass. The EMS side of it is very time consuming with the 24 hours. The fire class it's more hours than it ever has been. They just keep adding. Like when I went through 18 years ago, it was a firefighter 1 class. Now it's firefighter 1 and 2. Plus you have to have hazmat, and just to get certified, it's way more hours than it ever has been. And with everyone's life as busy as it is, I don't want to say the younger population, but everyone expects to be compensated for their time, and when they find out how busy you actually are for what you are compensated, people aren't interested anymore. And I think the EMS scares some people. I know I've had people tell me that they'd join if it was fire only, but then actions speak louder than words too. Whether they actually would or not, I don't know.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Just another issue to keep in mind. So moving down to item F, schedule local board of appeals and equalization with St. Louis County. Becky, I'm assuming it's preset for Tuesday, April 20th at 5 o'clock.
Right, that's the preset time by the county, and we also need to specify whether it's in person or Zoom. We did do it last year by Zoom. It worked just fine.
So April 20th, it's a Tuesday at 5 o'clock. Everybody okay with that?
Yeah, works for me.
And I'm fine with Zoom too. We usually don't have hardly anybody there, so. Now, Becky, is this the one where the county is there too, right? The 2 county employees? Okay.
Right.
Okay. Can I get a motion to set local board of appeals and equalization for 5 o'clock on April 20th?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Councillor Pop, support.
I'll support.
Support by Councillor Zins. Roll call.
Councillor Zins.
Yes.
Pop.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Kramer.
Yes.
Mayor Vreeland.
Yes, motion carries. Item G, City of Hoyt Lakes Resolution 2021-001, resolution in support of local government aid. You've got that resolution in front of you. The Greater of Minnesota Cities is asking that we all pass a resolution trying to let the state legislature know that we want to keep the LGA where it's at. The city of White Lakes gets, if I'm remembering, somewhere in the $414,000 range a year. So it's just a resolution letting them know that we need to keep that number. So can I get a motion to approve it?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Councilor Peterson. Support?
I'll support.
Support by Councilor Zins. Roll call.
Councilor Zins,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Kramer,
Yes.
Mayor Vreeland.
Yes, motion carries. Item H, American Tower offer dated January 19th, 2021. This is the tower in town is on city property. They pay us, if you look on that, in that packet, I think they pay us $600 per month. Is that correct, Becky?
Right now, it's at, actually, that's what they're proposing. Right now, it's at, well, in March, it'll be $739.16. And so, you know, a couple times a year, they come out with these proposals. And if you look at our current agreement, obviously is the better deal. But for longevity on their tower site, they came up with this offer of $600 a month rent, and then or a conditional offer of $140,000. It's not, the council can review it. They don't have to accept it. Obviously, our current agreement makes the city more money as it is now.
I guess why, Mitch, why would we even consider dropping the rent on it when we have a signed agreement with them?
Yeah, you really wouldn't. And that, you know, and we've been seeing this happen with a number of cities around the area have these, you know, where they're letting the city water tower being used as a tower site for cell phone service. A lot of local cities have these agreements, and, you know, these are long-term agreements, and, you know, usually the financial benefit to the city is pretty good. But what's happened is, you know, they're locked in. It is a binding agreement, and as long as they want to use your tower, that's what they're going to pay. And but they're going around basically trying to get cities to change the deal. I think it's just a matter of, I think it's the old adage, you know, there's no harm in asking, right? Yeah. They come and they say, well, there's no harm in asking. Let's see if we can convince some of these cities to change up their deal. Maybe we can give them a little bit more of a long-term incentive to do something. I think it's just the reason they're doing this is they must be looking at their economics and thinking that they have to make some changes to try to maintain competitiveness. And so they're trying to get the cities to make these changes. But you're not under any contractual obligation to do so. You do have a binding contract with them. As Becky pointed out, the commercial terms and economic terms of the current contract are better than what they're offering here. I think what they're really doing is they're dangling with this $140,000 lump sum payment. I think they're dangling that carrot to a lot of municipalities, thinking, you know, maybe they would, you know, take the benefit of the one-time lump sum payment. But the problem with that is what they then want is a perpetual easement, which as city attorneys for something like this, we would never recommend that you give them a perpetual easement for that type of a structure. So I think it's just, I think we dealt with this maybe about a year ago, something similar.
Yeah.
And my recommendation to the city council would be do the same thing we did about a year ago, and that is just politely take no action.
Now, for clarification, this is the tower east of town on city property. Is that correct, Becky?
Right, it's up by way up on Coventry, the big tower that going out of town. I forget the address of it, but
yeah, it's by the golf course road there.
Yeah,
Mitch,
yeah.
This isn't the water tower. This is that they put it on city property is what they do.
Right.
Okay.
I remember
So we don't
when
have to-
we did this contract. I think one of the specifications in that contract was if they got other providers that put their equipment on the tower, that the city would also get a cut of that. And they were hoping, at that time, they were hoping to get other providers on there to offset their costs also. To my knowledge, they've never came to the city and said there's been another provider put on there. You aware of that? Anything, Becky?
Yeah, I think, I don't know exactly who's on there, but I know, I think we have 2 other companies on there. We do get 10% of that. We get a separate check for that rental. And so
Okay.
they are abiding by the agreement, but I should have checked before the meeting who exactly they are.
So Mitch, we don't have to take any action on this then?
No.
Any other discussion on this, council? Not hearing anybody have anything else for the council tonight?
I guess, Mayor, I just have one clarification. I know originally I thought we had talked that possibly the vetting of the applicants was going to be in person, or is that going to be Zoom?
It's going to be Zoom now, Dan, and thank you for bringing that up. I think, Dave, you're on quarantine, aren't you?
That's correct.
Yeah, so Dave can't come down. And I think for tomorrow night, just going over the 8 applications, I think Zoom will work fine. But I do, Dan, once we interview or set up an interview, I do think we got to do that in person. Council okay with Zoom tomorrow night?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Just a reminder, we just have to use letters, no names.
Yeah.
When discussing those applications.
Yeah, I'll go over that when we start the meeting tomorrow night. So
okay, thank you.
I'm looking for an adjournment.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Councillor Pop. Support?
I'll support.
Support by Councillor Kramer. Deb, you're a little slow on that one tonight. So,
sorry.
Roll call.
Councillor Zins.
Yes.
Pop.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Kramer.
Yes.
Mayor Vreeland.
Yes, motion carries. Remember, EDA meeting in 2 minutes. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Thank you.